At first it looks simple. Two big names, a country that is already very familiar, and a schedule that seems like an ordinary break. But the more attention is paid, the clearer it becomes that Taehyung and Jungkook's trip to Japan is not a vacation without meaning. There are small details that are not in tune with just a break narrative. And it is precisely from such unsynchronization that suspicions begin to grow, slowly but strongly, in excessive cheerful uploads. No travel documentation was deliberately exhibited. Even their existence in Japan almost feels like a shadow, visible but not fully captured. Taehyung and Jungkook attend, but in a very restrained manner. As if every step had already been taken into account, each occurrence had a clear boundary. Not the attitude of two people who want to take a vacation and unwind, but two individuals who are taking care of something. Army begins to connect the scattered dots. An undeclared departure time is widespread. Short but solid duration. Calm facial expression, but full of concentration. Jungkook, who was later known to be more reserved, seemed to carry a burden of mind that had not yet been fully unraveled. Taehyung, with his characteristic calmness, looks like an anchor present not to shine, but to accompany. Japan itself is not a neutral place in BTS history. Many important moments once took place there, big decisions, phases of reflection, and emotional transitions. Therefore, when Taehyung and Jungkook choose Japan as a destination, it is difficult to consider it a coincidence. The country offers something they rarely get anywhere else: space. A space to walk without excessive glare, a space to speak without fear of leaks, and a space to think without instant pressure from the public. Some entertainment industry observers rate this trip as part of a larger internal process. Not just about the project, but the direction. When an artist reaches a global peak, the question arises no longer how to get bigger, but rather how to stay whole. Taehyung and Jungkook are known as two very reflective figures. They live not only on stage, but also in their own inner space. Japan might be the place where those questions are honestly talked about. Interestingly, there is no aura of excessive anxiety. If this is a secret plan, then it doesn't feel dark or full of intrigue. Quite the opposite. There's a preserved calm, as if anything was being designed not to shock the world instantly, but rather to protect themselves first. And that made a lot of ARMY think. Maybe this is a rarely seen form of maturity. Taehyung and Jungkook's interaction while in Japan is also a highlight. No dramatic gesturas, no deliberatelli viral moments. But their closeness is felt deeper than usual. It is not closeness that seeks validation, but rather closeness that is born of trust. The way they walked side by side, the way they were silent together, gave the impression that the most important conversation took place precisely when the camera was not on. After returning, the silence continued. There is no clarification, no explanation, and oddly enough, that's exactly where the strength of this story is. Because if this were really just an ordinary vacation, prolonged silence would not be necessary. Taehyung and Jungkook seem to agree to let time work, letting the public wait without being given a cut of the answer. Not as a form of neglect, but as a limit. The ARMY was at a crossroads between curiosity and respect. Many want to know what is really happening in Japan. But every day, more and more people choose not to force it. There's a collective awareness that perhaps this is a phase that needs to be lived without cheers. That not all plans need to be announced, and not all processes need to be witnessed. If Japan is really a witness to a secret plan, then the plan is most likely not about sensations. Rather, it's about sustainability, about how Taehyung and Jungkook will step into the next phase with a more honest version of themselves. It could be related to work, it could be about personal life, or it could be about the balance that has been difficult for them to get. One thing is for sure, this trip left a strong emotional imprint. Not because of what is seen, but because of what is not shown. And maybe that's the biggest message, that behind the glitter of the industry and global expectations, these two human beings still have the right to choose silence, the right to plan the future in their own way. Japan is not just a destination. It becomes a quiet space where important decisions may be being soldered. And until Taehyung and Jungkook choose to speak, the world can only wait, with curiosity, with empathy, and with the belief that whatever they're keeping there was born out of a desire to stay true to themselves. The silence that accompanied the Japanese story slowly turned into a symbol. Not an empty symbol of mystery, but a symbol of control. Taehyung and Jungkook, two figures who from a very young age lived under extreme scrutiny, now seem to choose the one thing they have the least: the right to decide when to be seen and when to be kept. And that choice feels very deliberate. ARMY began to read patterns, not from gossip, but from the consistency of attitudes. There are no accidental leaks, no half-and-half gestures. Typically, if a journey is truly leisurely in nature, there will always be a small trail left behind, whether it's cryptic uploads, lighthearted comments, or pieces of moment that were unknowingly shared. But this time, there was almost none. Too neat to be called a coincidence. Too calm to be called a spontaneous holiday. Some fans who have been following Taehyung and Jungkook's emotional journey for a long time refer to this phase as the guarding phase, a time when a person is not running away from the world, but rather is tidying himself up before returning to face it. Jungkook, with the sadness that is often talked about later, looks like he is rearranging the rhythm of his life. Taehyung, who is known to be very intuitive, appears to be present not as a leader or a big shadow, but rather as a friend who understands when to speak and when to be silent. Japan, with its culture of respect for personal space and silence, is a perfect setting. There, silence is not considered awkward. Silence does not always mean empty. And perhaps it is in such a space that the most frank conversation can take place. Conversations about unspoken fatigue in front of the camera, about the pressure that has been swallowed up by itself, about a future that no longer wants to be lived on autopilot. Some entertainment industry analysts argue that phases like this often precede big changes. Not necessarily changes that look dramatic from the outside, but changes in attitudes from the inside. Different ways of working, how to be present in a more selective public, or even a way of defining success that no longer fully follows industry standards. If so, then the secret plan was not something created to surprise the army, but rather to save themselves from long-term exhaustion. Interestingly, there is no fear in their attitude. If someone is hiding something because they're forced to, they will usually look restless. But Taehyung and Jungkook seem stable. Calm down. It was as if whatever they were planning had been thoroughly talked about, fully accepted, and lived through without regret. It is not a secret out of fear, but rather a secret out of value. The army is slowly changing the way it views the situation, from a burning curiosity to a more mature sense of trust. Many realize that love is not always realized by wanting to know everything. Sometimes love just means giving a safe distance, letting the idol breathe without having to constantly explain each step. And in Taehyung and Jungkook's silence, army sees not rejection, but faith in return. That fans will understand. Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship seems to be entering a quieter but stronger phase. There is no need for public proof, no need for dramatic moments to affirm closeness. They're like two people who have already gone through enough things together, so they no longer need outside validation. Japan may just be a witness, not the center of the story. Witness of a bond that is being nurtured with great care. And if one day the plans are finally revealed, in the form of work, life decisions, or a new direction, many are sure that everything will seem reasonable, that this silence will have a context, that this pause is not a delay, but a preparation. Because the most meaningful things are often born from a quiet space. For now, Japan remains a silent chapter that is not yet closed. No climax, no confession. Only two big names have chosen to walk at a slow pace, while carrying something they consider important enough to take care of. And the world, for the first time in a long time, learned to wait without forcing that as it may. This is the most honest form of freedom